Hi everyone, it is time for a new video, and today I'm doing a sit down video and I will be doing the mid-year freakout tag. So obviously this is something a lot of people do, and I'm not sure who the original creator of the tag is. So if you do know, please let me know so that I can link them down below and everything. But it is something that people have been doing every single year for a while now, and if you didn't know, it's basically literally just like looking back at what you've read so far in the year. I haven't really done anything like this for a while. I've been doing a lot of reading vlogs, which is my favorite thing to make and watch, but I feel like it'd be nice to do to break it up a little bit, and I also need a video today to upload. So I am hoping to make this quite short. So in every single tag that I've ever done, I always give a million answers, and today I really want to try to just tell you one book or two books and just make it quick. You know, like we don't want to be here all day. Let's do it. So the first question is best book you have read so far this year. So this, I hate this. And I just like, why would you do this to me? So the second that I saw this question, I was like, this is not happening. So as I was looking through the books that I've read, I'm definitely gonna do a video where I actually talk about the long list of my favorite books so far this year, because I am lucky enough to say that there have been so many incredible books. There's no fucking chance that I could pick one book. But I just went with kind of like the first thing that I thought of, plus what other books do I want to mention for other questions. So there are other favorite books that I'll use for other answers. So I ended up with one book miraculously, but again, this is not my number one favorite book. This is not the only book. This is one of my favorites, and that is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. I fucking adored this book. Definitely one of my favorite adult romances that I've read. Maybe my, like, definitely top 5 of my favorite adult sapphic books, maybe even top 3. So it's basically about Delilah and Claire, and it's kind of like a little bit, it kind of has a touch of Cinderella in it, in the sense that Delilah is kind of the stepsister of Claire's best friend, and the two of them don't have a good relationship, and she has a terrible relationship with her stepmother and that kind of situation. And so there's this group of friends that Claire is a part of and Delilah's stepsister is a part of, and then another girl as well. And the three of them are just really good friends, and Delilah has always been an outcast, and you know, she was kind of like in their proximity for a long time in their childhood, but like never really interacted with them. They never got along. And so now it's, you know, later on in their life, they're adults, and Claire starts flirting with Delilah at this bar, not knowing who she actually is at first. And she's like, oh my gosh, she looks so cool, and she's attracted to her, and she's also a single mom, so it has that trope. And it kind of goes on from there. Delilah also has to spend time with them because she is supposed to photograph her stepsister's wedding. And so yeah, it's kind of like forced proximity, so many fun shenanigans. It is just so wonderful. It's steamy, it's fun, it has a lot of meaningful things as well, and it's just absolutely fucking wonderful, and I definitely recommend it. So the next question is best sequel you've read so far this year, and I have another sapphic book for this that is another one of my favorites that I could use for this question, and that is Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur, which is the last book in this series, and I've loved every single one of the books, and I felt like this was just such a beautiful wrap up. We got to see the characters from the first 2 books quite a lot, definitely the most out of like all the books in the series. I just loved the vibes. It's basically set around the planning of a wedding of the 2 main characters from the second book, which was just so lovely. So Olivia, one of our main characters, is kind of like a wedding planner, and this wedding is a really big deal for her career, and so she obviously wants to do it. And then Margot is like a friend of the couple, you know, and so they run into each other there, and they actually used to know each other, and they're kind of like estranged best friends who kind of like hooked up a little bit, and then they didn't speak for ages, and they reunite at this wedding. And so it's once again kind of like forced proximity, and it is just fucking wonderful. Like, it is, again, just like, it is such a sweet romantic fun romance. It's steamy as well. It is just fucking amazing. I just definitely highly recommend you read this book and this whole series. And I do have another answer for this, and that is Witches Get Stitches by Juliet Cross. I absolutely adore this entire series. Every single book, this is the third one, has been everything to me. It is the perfect adult paranormal romances, in my opinion. I'm absolutely obsessed. It does everything I want it to be. The vibes are there, the characters are incredible, the romance is incredible. It's fun and the plot is engaging, but it's like it doesn't take away from the romance, and the romances are so strong, and I fucking adored this just as much as the other books in this series. And if you love paranormal romances, you absolutely have to check them out. They're funny, they're steamy, they're fun, so addicting and quick to read, and just like you seriously need to read them. And I only owned this book physically, and I have to buy the other two, and there's also a new fourth one. And I want to read them again and again and again. And I am definitely planning on reading the entire thing again this fall during spooky season. So then we have new release you haven't read yet from this year, but you want to. So once again, I have a billion options for this, but I only decided to pick one that I own physically, that I kind of just saw first and that made sense to me. That is A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. So this is a book that is a little bit like not necessarily like a little bit out of my comfort zone, because one thing that I have done so little of this year is read fantasy. Actual fantasy, I read literally like 2 books, I think, out of like over 160 books. I don't know, something like that. So absolutely tragic. Like, I honestly can't even believe I just said that. And I love fantasy. I just kind of like, I am slowly learning that I love fantasy. It's just that what's typical in most fantasy books doesn't necessarily work for me, because I need super strong characters. I need strong relationships, whether that's a romance or a found family. And so often like fantasy books are just like too focused on the world building and the plot, or they're too brutal or something, and I just need to find something that works specifically for my tastes, and I'm working on that, and I can't wait to figure it out and find fantasy books that I actually love, and I think that this is going to be one of them. I'm getting really strong fairy tale vibes from it, and I kind of forgot, yes, I think, yeah. So the main character basically wants to kill this like magical creatures that earns you like fame and riches, and she is the best sharpshooter in town, but she needs the help of an alchemist to be to have a chance at winning. And so she's going to work with this guy who has been fired from every apprenticeship. And so they team up together, and fuck yeah. I love things like this, and I just some of my friends that I trust loved this book, and I cannot wait. Like, I am so excited for this, and I definitely want to read it super fucking soon. So then I have most anticipated release for the second half of 2022. I, once again, could not think for long about this. I immediately started coming up with a giant list, but I decided to go with, first of all, the first book that I thought of, and second of all, the only book that I've pre-ordered so far. So I really want to start pre-ordering books more often, because I always forget about it, and then it's the best surprise ever, and I want to support the authors, and it is just such a fucking exciting thing, but I basically haven't done that at all this year. One of the reasons is I don't know where I'm going to be living in the fall, like near the end of the year, but I do know that I'm going to be back home for the month of September and like around there. And so I pre-ordered these Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. And like, I also did it not only because I fucking adore Aiden, but because he is once again doing a pre-order campaign. And it is a book that I'm already in love with it. Like, I don't care. Like, the cover is everything. I don't remember super precise details about it, but like everything about the book sounds so fucking, oh yeah, I think Aiden pitched it as The Hunger Games meets Percy Jackson or something like that. And I'm not a fan of Hunger Games, but why did I say it like that? That was so weird. But I am a fan of Aiden and Percy Jackson. And I don't know, like, I cannot wait. Then we have biggest disappointment this year? And I unfortunately do have an answer for this, but I don't always actually have the answer. But the second that I was looking through my Goodreads and I saw the book, I was like, yeah, that is the answer. And that is A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. So absolutely adore the cover of this book, and I actually own it physically. I just have it back home. I was so excited for this. There are books by Elise Kova that I've read or know of that I don't think would work for me, because some of them are kind of focused on like action and plot and all of that. And so I haven't loved all of her books, but the first book in this series, I forgot the name of it, but I loved it. It was so fun. It is a fantasy romance, and it was just like, it gave me the vibes that I wanted, the romance that I wanted. It wasn't perfect, and you know, but it was just really great, and I enjoyed it a lot. And so I was so excited for the second book. I love the cover so much. I was just so ready. And I just didn't really like it. Like the beginning was so promising. I was so excited. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna love this even more than the first book. But I just like, it just went so downhill. And the plot completely changed. The vibes and the dynamic between the characters changed out of nowhere. I felt like the hero in this book at first seemed like a completely different person than he then became. And I just like did not like this. You know, in the middle of the book, I was just getting bored with the plot. It felt really boring, and the romance wasn't going anywhere, and I was just so fucking sad. And I really hope that I'm gonna love the next book again, because it is like something with a vampire lord, and so there's gonna be a vampire, and like I love that, and I do think I'm gonna buy a physical book of that as well, and hopefully that will be good. But this one just did not work for me, and definitely the biggest disappointment. Then we have biggest surprise this year, and I actually have a very recent one from literally this week, and that is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I'm not gonna get into it right now because I did want to make this video really short, but I basically confused this series with the Birthright series or something like that by Sophie Lark, and I thought they were the same thing for a while, and I did not want to read the Birthright series thing because it's mafia romances, and I am not a fan of that. And so for ages I kept seeing Anna Huang's books, and I kind of like, I actually added the first book, this book, to my TBR ages ago because I saw a lot of people that I trust like rave about it. Everyone's obsessed with it. But then I like kept thinking, you know, I don't want to actually read it because it's mafia romance, and then I finally realized it is not. So I think in the books there is a tiny hint of suspense at some points. I don't know if it's like every book, but it is in the first book, and I think the second book as well. But it's not mafia romance, and it was so fucking good. I ate it up. I loved it so much. It was just so fun and addicting and steamy and just like the best time ever. And so if I wasn't a dumbass and I actually realized what it actually was before, it wouldn't be that surprising. But then like I became absolutely obsessed with it, and I was like, you know what, I need to buy the rest of the series physically, and I need to read it immediately, which is just the best, most pleasant surprise ever. Like I love it. And I'm so happy. So definitely this. Then I have favorite new author, and at first I was like, I don't know, because I feel like I've been reading a lot of books by authors that I already love, and I haven't done a lot of discovering of new authors, which I don't honestly mind that much, but I do think I want to focus on that a little bit more for the second half of the year. But I do have one author that, while I knew her books before, I completely fell in love with her this year, and I was just like, you know what, she is one of my favorite authors, and that is Katrina Jackson. And the book that solidified it that I want to mention here is Looking by Katrina Jackson. This is a polyamorous romance, and it is just absolutely everything. It is so fucking good. It is emotional and steamy and so fun, and I feel like all of Katrina Jackson's books are like that. They're all really fast, super fun reads. Some of them are novellas, some of them are just shorter novels. But like, while they're short and really quick to read, she still really manages to like fully develop the characters and make you root for them and connect with them, and it is just the best thing ever. Like, if you want super fun, steamy romances that have strong emotional and romantic elements as well, you have to pick up Katrina Jackson's books. A lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. Some of them, including this one, are on Scribd, and I just fucking love her, and I have been wanting and reading her. I've been wanting to and doing so to read her backlist, and I can't wait to read more. So yes. Then we have newest fictional crush and newest favorite character. I don't know. I do not know this, and I'm having a crisis because I'm like, how do I not know this? But I I don't know. Like, I feel like I haven't had this feeling entirely. Like, favorite character, a million of them. Fictional crush, I just feel like if it was actually, you know, like if I knew this person, I'd want to like actually date them. I don't know, like I'm sure there are options, but there's just no one that stood out to me, and I, again, don't want to make this video too long, so I unfortunately do not have an answer to this. Please let me know who yours is. And a favorite character, I don't want to get into because that's like, the list would go on and on. So we're just gonna skip these, tragically. I'm sorry. If I come up with something, I'll leave it in the comments down below. But right now, I don't know, tragically. Then we have book that made you cry this year. And I didn't know what to do for this. And I have multiple books that I have on my TBR that I know will make me cry, that I want to get to this year, but guess what? I've been procrastinating on them because I am terrified of pain and sadness, and I avoid it as much as possible. And so I don't really have answers for this, but I do have kind of one, and I do remember I did tear up at some points in some books, but I'm not sure which ones because it wasn't like sobbing. As far as I know, I don't have the best memory, maybe whatever. But the answer that I want to give for this is Your Soul is a River by Nikita Gill. I definitely think I teared up when reading this. It is my favorite poetry collection of all time that I finally bought physically and reread and highlighted, and I want to go back to it again and again. I love it so fucking much. It's so meaningful to me, and it connects with me on such a deep level. And so that is my answer. And if you have not read Nikita Gill's books yet, you absolutely need to pick them up. And this is obviously the one that I recommend the most. So we're getting close to the end, and the next book is Book That Made You Happy This Year. I just like, what, like, this is so funny because it's like literally every fucking book that I've read. Like, except for the disappointments. But you know, like I just literally read for happiness. I read for comfort, and so I could answer a million things. But either way, I do actually have an answer, and that is a book that I literally just finished today, and it's an arc that I need to tell you about. I just had to fit it in this video somehow, and that is Bad at Love by Gabriela Martins. I just flew through it. I literally inhaled it in basically one sitting. I only made lunch in between, and I fucking adored it. I already loved Like a Love Song by Gabriela Martins, but this book solidified the fact that she's definitely one of my favorite authors, so I could also use her for that other answer. It made me so happy. It like filled my heart with so much happiness, and this whole weekend, I've been having the best reading weekend. I have vlogged it, so you're gonna see it maybe in like a week or two, and I read this book, so I will talk about it more in that video, but it is fucking incredible if you like YA contemporary romances, books about celebrities, and queer representation, specifically pansexual and demisexual, and also Brazilian representation. You have to pick up this book, and Like a Love Song as well. So absolutely recommend and fucking adored. So then I have most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. I have 4 books for this. I'm not gonna go into the plot of them because again, this is a little bit longer than I wanted, but obviously I have multiple because I love beautiful covers. I love talking about it. It is my favorite thing. And so let's do it. So the first one I have here is One Fine Duke by Lenora Bell. I know that some people don't like real people on the cover and like the historical romance covers, but I fucking adore them, and this is definitely one of my favorites. Like, I mean, like, I cannot. My favorite types of historical romance covers are the couples that are surrounded by flowers. I fucking adore flowers, and I just, I love this. So I cannot wait to read this. I wanted to read it in the spring, like in a park filled with flowers, and I didn't do that, and I don't know what flowers are still blooming. much to think about and figure out, you know, but absolutely adore this cover. Then I have You've Reached Sam by Dustin Towell. One of the books that's gonna make me cry that I've been avoiding, and I just know this is gonna take over my entire heart, is gonna wreck me, and I'm not ready for it. And I fucking adore this cover. Definitely one of my favorite covers of all time. Then I have Our Way Back to Always by Nina Moreno, a book that I've been dying to get. And this book I want to read by the pool. Like, I want it to be sunny outside and I want to do that. I am not sure if I'll be able to actually read it by a pool, but I definitely want to read it on a sunny day. I just love the cover so much, and I love swimming. I love swimming in pools. And so seeing the water makes me so happy. I love books that have this type of water on the cover so much. And last but by no means least, I have What a Match by Mimi Grace. I obviously could not answer this question without a cover designed by the one and only Lenny Kaufman, aka the best cover designer of all time. And I fucking adore this cover. I can't say it's my favorite by her because literally all of them are fucking incredible, but it's definitely like up there. I love it so much and I cannot wait to read it. This honestly is like filled with fall vibes, but I'm not gonna wait till the fall to read this, but I love it so fucking much. So then we're finally on to the last question, and that is, what do you need to read by the end of the year? And I just realized did I pick out an answer for this? I mean, one thing that I've been thinking about is Beach Read and Book Lovers by Emily Henry, because these books, this one I still haven't read and I've been avoiding for literally years at this point, and this one is obviously newer, but I've just kind of been procrastinating on both of them. I actually do think I'm gonna love them, but every single person, or like most people, talk about how they're kind of more literary fiction and they're marketed as romances, but while they do have some romance in it, it's not the main thing. And I do think that the themes in it and the vibes are actually something I'm really going to connect to, but I'm scared anyways. I'm like, what if I don't like it? But I think I need to read them for sure. And I kind of think that I would be smarter to start with Beach Read and finally read it this summer and then read Book Lovers. So I'm putting it out there. I will be getting to them this summer. That is all for this video. It was a little bit longer than I planned, but not too bad, so I will hopefully manage to edit it and upload it today. But let me know what your favorite books were, your most surprising reads, whatever is most exciting for you to share, and I would love to know. And yeah, if you made it this far in the video, leave a sun emoji down below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'm gonna see you soon in another video. Bye!